So this is Sweetbriar Nature Center. It's home to 54 acres of natural preserved land, an abundant number of wildlife, a rehabilitation center, a butterfly house, education programs, science programs, and forest galore. One of the big contributors of Sweetbriar's animals are pets. People get bored of them and eventually can release them into the wild. This can lead to two things. The pet either dies because it's not adept to survive in the local environment, or it can become invasive. So one animal that could become invasive are these guys. They're ball pythons, and they're native to Africa. Now, if someone were to get rid of one and release them into the wild, they could destroy the natural ecology, kill native animals like squirrels or mice, and basically wreak havoc on the environment. So if you have a pet, you should always donate it to somewhere that will take care of it and never release it in the wild. So in conservation, you have to remember that every life is important, even the smallest and the scariest. Now the Madagascar hissing cockroach is important because they help decompose the forest. When things die and when things get old, these little guys help bring the forest back to life. So this is our bald eagle and one of America's conservation success stories. At one point they were on the verge of extinction, yet breeding programs where you would take wild bald eagles and introduce them to either captive or other wild ones and breed them, and with that their population grew back from the verge of extinction. So this is Copper, Sweetbriar's red fox, and he was born blind, and it was most likely due to all the chemicals that we put out into our environment. So one of the best ways to conserve the natural population of animals is just to use less pesticides, less insecticides, and that'll save a lot of animals. This is Biscuit, and the reason he's called that is because he got attacked by a dog. Now, I know dogs are great and they are wonderful pets, but you should be careful of them around wildlife because things like this can happen and it can severely injure the animal. A lot of animals at Sweetbriar are victims of cars. This guy right here was hit by a car, but luckily he was brought to Sweetbriar and rehabilitated. And if you're on the road and you see an animal that you either hit or got hit by another car, always try to call your local nature center and help the animal. Animal agriculture is a big part of environmental conservation. Now, my friend Hoover over here was rescued from a farm. And I'm not saying that you have to become a vegan, but you should know where your food comes from and make sure that it's produced humanely. This is Sweetbriar's vegetable garden. Now, growing a garden of your own can actually help a lot with conservation, as you can grow all your own food without any pesticides or insecticides, and you know where it comes from. In Sweetbriar, all of our soil is fertilized through compost, which is the remains of organic material and dirt. And this helps out a lot because you know where the fertilizer is coming from. It's all natural, no chemicals, and it's really good for the plants. Sweetbriar has 54 acres of natural and protected forests. And this is important for any area because trees are the lungs of the world. And in a lot of countries there are prone to deforestation. And deforestation is terrible because it leads to habitat loss, it can lead to desertification, and it ruins the natural ecology of the country. Now, the rainforest is not on Long Island, but here at Sweetbriar we have our very own rainforest. The rainforest is one of the biggest providers of oxygen for the world, and little creatures like this guy like to hang out in it. The rainforest is subject to one of the most abundant areas of deforestation in the world for its area, its natural resources, its wood, and if the rainforest goes away, the world will be devastated. There will be less oxygen, less filtered air, and less wildlife and biodiversity. I hope you've learned a lot about Sweetbriar Nature Center, and always remember that you can do a lot of different things to help out with conservation, like planting a garden, saving animals if you see an injured one, or even volunteering.